I'm Dana, and today you're seeing my hair when it's not in plaits because I just don't have the energy to sort it. I'm sorry, I don't like the way it looks like this, but it's what we're going with. So it's currently Thursday, and I came home on Saturday night. See, I was going to say I've been doing nothing, but I suppose the reality is that I've been just sort of like recovering from and dealing with Saturday. Because for anyone that didn't get to see, I had a very, I mean, to be fair, I didn't show you the meltdown. I was just like, I had a meltdown, I went home. But yeah, as I've done many times, I held my shit together just about enough to get myself home, and then walked through the doors and literally just like fell to my knees and was like, oh my God. And the thing that always gets me when I have a meltdown is that it's every single time it's this massive big reminder of like, oh shit, I'm actually autistic. Like, it's not like a fun little cute, like, oh, sometimes I don't like bright lights, sometimes I need to like fidget with something. Like, it's not cute, you know? And it's a real fucking big reminder of that. And especially as someone who, like, through a host of different coping mechanisms, I don't have meltdowns very often because they're horrible and very distressing. And I still don't feel like I've really recovered from it. I don't feel like myself. I don't feel good. It's not a good fucking time, you know? And through accommodating to myself and being kind to myself and not putting myself into situations where I know that like it's going to be meltdown inducing, and being careful about the types of people that I'm around, you know, like I put quite a lot of effort into keeping my life pleasant, quite frankly. What was that? And that's what I have to do to not have meltdowns regularly, you know? But I think the thing is as well, and where I'm maybe like not giving myself like the type of leeway that I should, is that like I've been thinking of it as the meltdown is what happened once I'd gotten home and I was crying, and it was like, I was very like, if someone had looked at me, you would have been able to tell that I was actively very distressed, you know? Whereas like while I was packing my stuff and while I was on the train, I didn't look happy, you know? I'm sure anyone who looked at me could tell that I was like anxious and not doing my best. But I wasn't having a meltdown. You know, anyone that looked at me wouldn't be like, shit, are you alright, love? They'd be like, well, I hope she's alright, you know? So I haven't really been counting the like 3 hours that I spent packing and going for the train and being on the train and everything. But I do think that it's a case of like, I was in meltdown for all of that, you know? I just wasn't safe to be my base autistic self in a meltdown. So I had to get myself to a position where I was safe, and that was all my brain focused on. If I'd, you know, it's not a choice. It's not a case of like, oh, if I'd chosen to focus on something else, or like if I had thought about, if I had focused on anything else, then I would have had the meltdown in the moment, you know? Instead of being able to just sort of like keep it inside and not show it. But the fact of the matter is that I felt the same the entire time, you know? It felt the same as it did when I was having my active, like, visual, this is obviously a meltdown moment. I just couldn't show it before then. And the thing for me as well is that, like, I've never been in safe situations to be able to have meltdowns. I've always been treated as though I'm just being silly and just having a temper tantrum. And, like, it's always been a very... Everyone around me has made me feel very ashamed of it, and like I shouldn't need to do it, like it shouldn't be happening, like I'm just being silly and putting it on, and it's a very negative thing for me to have experienced throughout my life. And as such, I don't feel like I've ever had a meltdown that's been allowed to just run its course, whether that be from those outside like factors as a child in my teen years and my early 20s. And that obviously gets into my fucking head. So now it's me that doesn't let it go all the way through. And it means that, like, I got home and I had my first, like, initial, like, I want to say I probably spent, like, 40 hours just, like, having a bit of a sob, having a meltdown. You know, I don't want to go into, like, what I do. But it's not, it's a, if you looked at me, you'd be like, oh, that's an autism meltdown. You know, it's pretty fucking obvious in my opinion. If I saw someone else doing what I do when I have a meltdown, I'd be like, shit, they're having a meltdown. Did that for probably, like, 40 to 45 minutes, and then that was when I started to get like a little bit of my brain back, and the bit that comes back is always the like, oh my God, what are you fucking doing? You look like a baby, you look like a child, why are you having a tantrum? You look ridiculous, what are you doing? And it's like, I'm having an extreme emotional reaction to the distress that I've been through as an autistic person, honey. Like, it's so valid and fair, but that's always the first thing that comes back to mind, and like snaps me out of it a little bit. But the thing is, it doesn't snap me out of it, does it? It shames me out of it. So that's when I get up and I'm like, I need to be a normal person and live my life. And I make myself a cup of tea and I try to like regulate and do breathing exercises, and I might like tidy up a bit so that my surroundings make me feel better. That's a big thing for me. You know, I do the coping mechanism things, and then like 20 minutes, half an hour later, all the feelings haven't gone. I'm just trying to like shame myself out of having a meltdown. So then I have another 20 minutes of having like the same thing that first went on, the same like initial meltdown, but just for like 20 minutes. And then like it snaps out again and I'm like, oh my God, bitch, like, oh my God, you're like not mentally stable tonight, huh? Pull yourself together. And I do my little coping mechanisms again. And then it feels like I regain my bit of energy. And that bit of energy means that I now have the energy to go back into meltdown. And then I exhaust myself in the meltdown. And then I do what I can to regain a little bit of energy. And that means that I have like the energy to do a meltdown again, you know? And it feels like it's this like stopping and starting and stopping and starting. That is massively from like my trauma and my own like shitty ableist, like, that's the thing is like, we all have internalized ableism. I would be very impressed if anyone doesn't have any whatsoever. And I think that I've worked on it quite well so that it only really directs towards my own shit. But it's still there and it's still not positive and good. And it's still not something I necessarily want to like promote online. But also like, it's there for me and I can't pretend it's not, you know? But also this is not how I would ever think about or feel about or talk about anybody else going through the same shit, you know? It's my own internalized shit that's caused by my trauma towards me. Like, big disclaimer, it's not about anyone else. Like, a lot of the time I feel like I am fairly in control of my emotions, to be honest with you, you know? Like, I spent a lot of time around my family and partners and people I like really didn't like and that said things that I massively disagreed with and that made me really angry and pissed off and whatever. And I just bit my fucking tongue half the time. You know, I'm really good at just like holding myself back and be like, sure, we're really angry right now, we're really sad right now, we're really this right now. No, we're fucking not. Just get rid of that, deal with it, go. And I'm not saying it's the healthiest thing in the world, but like that's how I cope with a lot of my day-to-day shit, you know, is that like I do just push it all down, pretend it's not there and get the fuck over it, because otherwise I'd be fucked, frankly. So it does like sort of fucking freak me out and scare me and make me feel very out of control. And honestly, big word that springs to mind is pathetic. It makes me feel like I'm being really fucking pathetic because I just all of a sudden can't control my emotions whatsoever, and I can't control the way that I'm reacting to them is the big one. Because like I said, like I can hold my tongue, I can smile through fucking anything. I so often don't know how to react to emotions, and it's such like a big thing that I have to think my way through and be like, do this, do that, smile like this. You know, I'm someone who's practiced my facial expressions in the mirror from like a very fucking young age. At some of my earliest memories is practicing my facial expressions, and then all of a sudden I don't get to control it at all, and I'm doing an emotional reaction and I can't make it fucking stop, and I can't do anything about the way in which I'm presenting myself, the way that I'm coming across. Just, I can't do anything. It's just happening to me, and it's scary and it's uncomfortable and it's really distressing, you know? And like I said, I don't have meltdowns all that often. I think it's largely because I so massively avoid any situations that might put me into one. I really avoid anything that might distress me or whatever else. So if I'm having a meltdown, I've already had some sort of situation I really didn't fucking enjoy, and then it's hours of this extra bullshit of my own like emotional fucking trauma coming through for like no fucking reason. You know, it feels like that a lot of the time. And as much as I know logically it's like, well, you've gotten a bit overwhelmed and you're autistic, so what happens then is you have an autistic meltdown. I know that, but it don't help any, does it? Like, it does not help any. It doesn't make me feel better. And obviously I don't want to experience it, so it's been really fucking hard for me trying to figure out some degree of balance of pushing myself and trying to do things and taking on challenges, and not repeatedly doing things that just exhaust me and make me feel like absolute shit and make me sit here thinking like I don't want to be a person because I'm fucking awful at it. That's the thing when people are like, oh, just try, you can try again. If you fail, just try until you succeed and all that stuff. It's like, no, because it's emotionally traumatic to keep trying and keep failing. And especially when you then have a whole ass meltdown happening on top of that, and days if not weeks of recovery time from that, I don't want to keep fucking trying, you know? But as I've said in a whole bunch of videos, I do also want to go outside and do things and live a life, you know? And finding the balance of things that are worth pushing myself for and things that I can actually fucking do, you know? Like, I'm sorry, if I'm having a massive fucking meltdown, that's not something I can do, you know? I know I technically did go and do it, but it is not worth that. It's not worth that. So technically, no, I can't do it. And obviously with this specific situation, it's like, okay, but like 3 weeks before I went to Halifax and stayed there overnight and did my little day out, and I was doing like a very, very similar thing. So is it just that I had the whole situation with the door? Is it the fact that I was there on my own? Is it the added overwhelm of having gotten public transport beforehand, you know? Like, that's a whole extra step that I didn't have to do the first time. And it's having to break down each situation and be like, was it this? Was it that? Was it this part? And then rejiggle everything and try it missing that. And oh no, there's still a meltdown. Try to put that back in. Try it missing that. You know, it's so much fucking work to just figure out what I'm able to do without a massive amount of like emotional turmoil and making my life so much more difficult and like traumatizing myself to make it more difficult to try again in future. Like, I don't know if that's really a thing for the people, but I find my meltdowns really traumatizing. Like, they fuck me up. Like, they really fucking do. It's a really, really like difficult thing to fucking go through and deal with. I don't enjoy them. Like, obviously no one enjoys them, but like, I don't feel like other autistic people present it anyway but how they experience it. But I feel like neurotypicals and the way that autistic meltdowns are spoken about like by medical professionals and that type of thing, it feels like it should just be like, you have your half hour where you hit yourself and you cry and you shout a bit, and then after that you're back to normal. And like, I suppose to an outside view to a point, like I have my like extended weird stop and start meltdowns, and then I probably appear pretty alright and normal, but that is all of my fucking energy gone. My body has ached and hurt this week like it never fucking has before. Like, I walked so many miles in Halifax. I walked and walked and walked, and it was uphill and downhill, and like, I loved it, but don't get me wrong, like, but I did so many steps, and I was waiting for my body to like hurt after that. Like, I ached. It wasn't my favourite feeling in the whole world the morning after, but the way that my body hurts so fucking much, and I'm very used to like, you've overexerted yourself, it hurts to stand up, it hurts to like walk up the stairs. Just sitting here, my body hurts. I don't have to move anything, I don't have to tense anything. Like, just existing within my body right now is painful, and I'm so fucking convinced that it's because of the meltdown I had, you know? Like, I don't usually feel like this. Like, I think having prevented them so well and not had one in so long, I just forgot how fucking time consuming they are, how like all consuming they are in like emotion and energy and just all of that. You know, like, I just really forgot how much they have like a long lasting effect. And it's especially weird because I know that in like a month or two, I'll have blanked this out. I'll be like, oh yeah, I had a meltdown after Birmingham, and then like it took me a bit to recover, but now I'm fine. Like, 80% of it's just gonna be gone. Like, I don't rewatch my old videos very often, but there's been like a handful that I've seen over the last few months because like people have like tagged them in the Discord and like linked them there, or like they've just generally popped up. And it's so weird because like, first off, I do not recognise that bitch. That's not my face. I don't know that woman. But I also just like don't remember like 80% of the shit that I'm saying and like situations that I'm talking about and ways that I'm feeling. Like, they are gone. I don't remember that. It's so fucking bizarre like how little of my life I like actually remember. I don't enjoy it. It's not nice, but I'm also very aware that like I haven't enjoyed a lot of my life and it hasn't been very nice, so maybe it's for the best that we just scoop it off the top, you know? Like, I'm not saying any of this is healthy and good, but it could all be a lot worse, you know? Like, that is the one like little silver lining to it all, is that I know that like things like this have been so much worse for me in the past. I've dealt with them so much like more poorer. It's just really, really, really fucked me up in the past, you know? And this time it just really, really fucked me up. It's getting so much better. I think that like having it right as I was accepting that like I'm coming into autistic burnout also didn't benefit me any. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. I do also wonder if I maybe wouldn't have actually had the meltdown had I not been doing this, knowing full well that I'm on the absolute like precipice. Like, this is the last little like tootsie toe step that I can take before I'm in burnout, and I was really hoping I'd be able to like just get the trip over with and enjoy that and then do that. But it's gone a little bit differently. We've done things the way that we have. That's that. I'm My mouth is so dry. I want to stop speaking. I'm going to go now. I would love to hear anything you have to say on this topic. I know it's a bit of a dark one. I know it's a bit heavy. Please don't share anything that like you don't want to, anything you're uncomfortable with. But I would like to know what other people's meltdowns are like, and if you experience like a similar thing to me, if you feel the same way that I do. So often you guys like explain how like you, I don't want to sound like a bitch, but you explain how you think your thing's a little bit different to mine. I'm like, no, that's what I was looking for. I should have said that. Like, so often it is so like relatable and validating for me, and I really hope it's like that for you guys, like to watch the videos in the first place and to get to read other comments that are like that. So I would love if you had a little chat with me in the comments, frankly. I might even fucking reply to some of them. I did mean to reply to the ones, I might still go back and reply to the ones on the Birmingham video actually, because everyone was like really supportful, nice one, Dana, really supportive and kind, and I like reading through after that video went up did really like make me feel better and help me out a lot. So thank you as well if you commented on that. And like obviously everyone on the Discord was like really supported me through that and made it a lot easier than it would have been without. But yeah, definitely very much appreciating this little community that we have here. If you want to follow me in other places, you can also follow me over on TikTok, Blue Sky, or Instagram as always. You can also follow me on Patreon if you want to join the Discord, and you can also find me over on Ko-fi if you want to. There's no pressure, you don't have to, it's all chill, it's all good. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you have a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and I will see you again in a couple of days.